Okay, so we got that. Rephrase the content. The third stage of this is reflect the feeling. So when you reflect something, it kind of feels like a mirror. You're bouncing back to that person the feeling that you sense that they're having right now. Okay? You're not trying to sympathize. You're not trying to take it on. You're not trying to have that feeling. You're not trying to remember when you have had that feeling and relate. You're reflecting. So part of that is, or what that involves is you tuning into, here's the feeling, here's the emotion that I sense you're having right now. Okay? So what that means, what that might sound like is, and on the page that I gave you that's mine, the second one had a little bit of reflecting the feeling, but the third one, we listen and look to the nature of the emotion behind the communication, observing facial expression, body language, voice, tone, intensity, volume, etc. So for example, that should say, one might say, I talked with my supervisor about how I could get a raise. I just wanted to know the criteria used by the management in giving raises. And he got mad and jumped all over me. I can't work for a guy like that. So reflecting the emotional content, you might say, you're upset and angry and feel completely misunderstood. Now it doesn't matter that you get it exactly right. What matters is you're doing your best to reflect what you sense that person's feeling right now as he or she is relating the story. This takes even more work. The first one, no big deal. The second, little more work. This one takes even more focus. You have to be very mindful to be empathic, I think. You can't be off somewhere else thinking, oh, what story can I throw in that's germane to what she's saying right now? Okay, so let's continue with this story. Yeah, so we would chase this dog all over the place, and it was a fun dog. Our kids really loved it, and we taught it to catch frisbees and catch balls. I mean, it has to catch frisbees and balls if it's going to be our dog. That's just kind of one criteria. And so, now, there's obviously no emotion there. Not you could, if I were having that conversation, I would recognize, if I were listening to me, I would recognize, oh, well, that's interesting. I remember I had a dog that could come. And there's no problem with that, where you get autobiographical when there's not an emotion going on. Do you get that? So, we decided to go on a trip. We decided to go away for a weekend, and I think it was a 3-day weekend. And we kept the dog inside during this trip. And not knowing if this was a good idea or not, we left the dog in the downstairs part of our house. There's a walkout basement into the backyard, and we left the dog down there, and we put down all the shades for the windows. We have really big windows towards the backyard, and we put down the shades. They're those wood ones that go shh. Right? The shutters, yeah. Not shades. And so there was no, you couldn't see the outside when there was 3 sets of windows. These are not cheap shutters. When we got back, this much of each of the shutters had been torn to shreds. this dog must have really wanted to get outside, and not recognizing it might be outside through those shutters. He tore them to pieces.